There was nothing in her eyes. There was no personality there. It was like a zombie.
She said, "I'm leaving Felix. I want a divorce. I'm going back to school."
And she threw out a machete. And I'm like, what in the world have I gotten myself into?
You didn't worry about the risks?
I don't worry about the risk. I just wanted to know the truth.
This is your friend Annette, and here is your long-awaited tape. Hope you like it.
She spent a lot of time alone. She was always writing poetry and drawing, picked up the guitar.
This kind of solitude and isolation concerned Mary.
Annette, I'm sure, missed her dad more than I realized. I even asked her one time if she thought she needed to see someone to talk, and she said, "No, Mom, I'm fine." I think I may have seen him on his motorcycle. He was just another customer. She did mention in letters that Felix stopped by, but I didn't know that there was intimacy. And then I learned that Felix made many, many visits. I regret that I left, and she even said to me in a letter, "I feel like you abandoned me." Oh my gosh, why didn't I do this differently? All the decisions I made that I would do differently now. I said, "Why don't you wait till you turn 18? This is a big mistake." She said, "I love you, Mom, and we'll go to Mexico and get married." I don't want to estrange her from me. And I trusted her, and I didn't know he was a bad guy. So I fell for it. But she was not herself. She was so confused when we were painting the downstairs, and she looked into the camera with this intense look on her face, like, "What do you want from me?" I think she was just overwhelmed with the way he had tried to control her and mess with her mind. He spent some time with her alone, and then they approached me and said, "We want you out of the house." And what he told me was that he had put her on a bus and that she was going to Mexico. I hung up and called the police and filed a missing persons report. They believed Felix. He convinced them that she had left on her own. Better I wrote to the DA. They didn't respond, so. Yes, I wanted to believe she was alive. I waited and waited. I sat by the phone and I kept waiting for a call. Christmas, her birthday, my birthday, Mother's Day. I would stay close to a phone on those days in those early years, thinking this is it. This is the day she's going to say, "Hi, Mom." I said, all right, if she's trying to get away from her mother, why isn't anybody else hearing from her? She had family. She told me that Felix had a wife who had drowned.
A lady calls me and says, "You don't know me, but Felix Vale married my daughter and she's missing." And I said, "Oh my God." My sister was so very special. So thoughtful, kind.
What was it like when you met with Will Horton? Did he think that his brother-in-law had killed his sister?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And so did his parents. And they felt helpless.
My sister radiated over that baby. This was part of the dream. You go to school, you go to college, and you have a family. She had thoughts of leaving Felix. That's why she was there, talking to my mom. My mom suggested that she go back and try to work things out, and then they would have another conversation. But she died before there was another conversation.
He was absolutely a suspect in her death.
But he was released 3 days later. Why?
The coroner, at the time, ruled that the death was an accidental drowning. As a prosecutor, how do I prosecute a murder case when the coroner says it's not a murder? So they really had to let him go.
It destroyed my mother. It left a hole in me I have still today.
I never let go of hope that maybe somebody would believe what I knew to be true. Her mother called for years, wondering if anyone had seen Sharon. When she told me that, my ears perked up. I thought, oh my gosh, now I've got something to work with.
My fondest memories of my sister Sharon are just sunshine and beads, and a lot of people describe her as a free spirit. He had a way with women and just a silver tongue. I think he said exactly what she wanted to hear.
They were living from vineyard to vineyard, living on grapes and kind of freewheeling around.
At that point, I believe she was with him out of fear. She didn't know how to get out of the situation. When my mom got off the phone, she told my dad, Sharon's in deep trouble. She's crying out for help. The letter that we received from Felix was just bizarre. I remember plainly, clearly, just like, oh my God, this is such BS.
So Bill went no shoes, no socks to the police station and said, my daddy's making me smoke marijuana and he'd take LSD and I want to go home.
Bill Vale was very open. He was very kind to me, compassionate. He was a good man. And I realized he was petrified of his dad.
He told her that he had murdered my mother. And I heard the girlfriend saying, oh, I know you must just feel responsible for it. You know, you just feel responsible. He said, no, you don't understand. I really did kill her. I was about 13, he said she would never bother anyone ever again. And I knew what that meant. There was nothing I could do with his information. I just remember being so angry again that he had told me this, and there was not a soul I could tell about it.
He wanted the truth to come out here for the victims. He knew what he had heard, and he never wavered on that, never.
He called me, and it was very close to the end, and he said, at least now I'll get to see Mom.
They had a special agent there that was working on serial killers and cold cases. He told me, I believe you're absolutely right. We are dealing with a serial killer. I felt shame that I had gotten all the families excited about this. So it was a big letdown for me.
Even though things fizzled out, she continued to search for someone to take a look at our situation. She just had that burning desire to want to get this guy so bad. She was consumed with it.
After almost 3 decades without the net, I continued just doing my life, and I realized then I need help. I need some healing here. I was just sitting in my living room listening, and I realized, oh my gosh, this man is not afraid of cold cases. I need to contact him. I said, Jerry, if you knew there was a serial killer living in Mississippi as a free man, would you be interested in the case?
Well, yeah. And so she proceeds to tell me about Felix Vale. She said, I'm coming down to confront Felix. I said, well, I want to go with you. By now, I'm starting to get kind of suspicious about, where is he? Is he watching? I'm thinking along those lines. She gets over there, and the back window was missing, so she crawled inside.
You didn't worry about the risks?
I don't worry about the risk. I just wanted to know the truth.
And she threw out a machete, and then she threw out another machete, and then another machete, and then another machete. And I'm like, what in the world have I gotten myself into? When I spoke to Kate Faulkner, Felix Vale's sister, she's like, oh yeah, I think he killed these women.
I celebrated. I danced. I remember calling one of my brothers and said, Fred, I've got some good news. He said, Mary, that's not good news, that's fabulous news.
I was minding my own business, walking down the hall to get some coffee, and the DA grabbed me and said, hey, how would you like to work on a 50-year-old murder case? And foolishly, I told him I would do it. We found Felix Vale's journals, almost 2,500 pages worth. And so in reading through the journals, Felix clearly tried to control every woman in his life, and a lot of times through physical violence. Ike Abshire was a roommate with Felix Vale when Felix Vale lived in Lake Charles. Ike's father, ironically enough, owned a large boat. The sheriff's office hired Ike's fathers as part of the search party to look for Mary's body. Ike happened to be on his father's boat when Mary's body was recovered. He says, I got something for you. He gives us an envelope, and written on the envelope is a single word, Keep, K-E-E-P. Open up the envelope, and then I pull these two photographs out. The forensic pathologist just happens to be walking past the table. He looks down at the pictures. He said, who murdered her? And I said, okay, well, we got us a murder case now.
Felix, what happened to Mary? What about Sharon? Annette? Felix, did you murder those women?
She had a scarf wrapped around her mouth and her neck. And her neck was all swollen around like it was sunk in. And it looked like a big old knot, but it wasn't a woman's knot.
So without him, without his testimony introducing the photos, I can't prove it's a murder. Ike Abshire was the key to the entire case.
Mary was sitting next to me, and Brian was sitting next to Mary, and we were holding hands.
We've become a family. The best part of this whole ordeal was getting to meet Mary Rose and getting to meet Will.
And when they said guilty, it really no words to describe it. It just felt so good. Finally, mission accomplished.
The most important thing for me was that he would be convicted of murder, whether it was just for Mary Horton or all three women, and that he would serve the rest of his life in prison. This was it. He was never going to get out of jail.
As far as for Sharon, I was able to have a memorial service for my sister, and it felt so good. I felt like I fulfilled a promise to my mom.
I don't really know exactly what closure means. I haven't found Annette's body, there's always going to be a piece of me that my heart is always going to be broken.
Dear Annette, I want you to know that I'm all right. Life has been challenging and painful since you went away. The night was restless and full of ruminating about all the mistakes that I made around you and Felix, but I can't go back. I finally, and with gratitude, can weep thinking of it all. So sad that maybe my choices would have made a difference and saved your precious life. I feel like I've been suppressing tears for so many years as I've kept myself busy trying to find justice. But now the tears are flowing and they feel heavy and deep and old and very salty, as though I've been holding them inside for all this time, and now they can come out. And I can weep and feel sad, and it's okay. It's okay.